All right, this video is meant to provide a brief explanation for Lab 2 of Circuits 1. And before we get started, I want to explain some safety concerns here that we have, which is we're working with a potentiometer that has a 1/2 watt rating, and the resistance value varies from 0 to 1,000 ohms. So using our power equation, we can figure out what is the power that flows through our circuit when we have the maximum value of 3,000. Since each potentiometer goes up to 1,000, the cumulative resistance is 3,000. And what is the minimum resistance value to make sure that we don't exceed the 1/2 watt rating, and the cumulative resistance needs to be at least 450 ohms. So for this lab, make sure that the cumulative resistance never falls below that value. In fact, it may be better to keep it at like 500 ohms, just to give us a little margin of safety. So we're going to follow these steps. We're going to read the total resistance, then read the individual resistances. We're going to apply our voltage, read the total voltage, then the individual voltages across the potentiometers. We're going to switch the multimeter to read direct current and measure the total current. And that's going to be a little bit tricky part if you don't remember how to read current. You have to make it in series with the circuit. And then we're going to switch back to reading the total resistance, adjust our potentiometers, making sure that RS is not below 500, and then we'll collect another data point. So this is what my circuit looks like. I've connected these potentiometers in series from leg 1 to 2, leg 1 to 2, leg 1 to 2. And I've added some wires here to make the hookups a little bit easier. So I'm just jumping some breadboard wires out so that I have some exposed leads that make it easier to connect. So here I read the total current, or rather the total resistance, and I can switch these leads. I can read the resistance there. I can read the resistance here. Oh, that's going to be 0. This is resistance 2. And I can switch between these as needed to read the individual resistances, right? Okay, after we do that, I already have my power supply set up for 15 volts. I can apply 15 volts across it. And I'm going to switch this to read DCV. And I can read those individual resistances as well. I can connect across the entire circuit. I get a reading here. Okay. And again, we can just read our individual voltages here. Now make sure you know which voltage you're reading, right? So if I'm connected at these points, for example, I'm reading from leg 1 across leg 2 of this potentiometer to leg 1 of here. So I'm across V2 in this case, right? If I want to read V3, I should switch to the end of my circuit, connect ground to ground, connect to this one. If I want to read V1 again, I want to cross leg 1 and 2. So I can switch back here and place this here. So that reads V1. Okay, but now we need to get a current measurement. Remember that current, you have to read it in series, right? You have to place the measurement device in series. And actually the input is different as well. So I have to switch from this input, connect it here, switch to DCI. So I hit Shift DCI. And the easiest thing to do is I'm going to turn my output off here. The easiest thing to do is to go ahead and connect the positive lead from my power supply to the positive lead from my multimeter, and then place the negative lead from the multimeter to the start of my circuit. Okay, so if we trace that, I'm going to set my output on here. I'm reading my current. What's happening here? voltage here, I have 15 volts. It flows through, the current flows through, into the multimeter, back out through my circuit. So I have a closed loop. Okay, so we read DCI. We're gonna turn off our power supply again, switch to V, or in this case, actually we wanna go back to resistance. And I can then hook up for total resistance and begin the first adjustment. So I collected one data point and I can begin adjusting my potentiometers. And it doesn't matter, these are 15 turn potentiometers. So I begin adjusting my potentiometer. We'll see that the value there decreases. Let me get my arm out of the way. So I can adjust my potentiometers here. Maybe I'll give each of them a slightly different turn, a few turns, whatever. Okay, and then I begin my measurement again. I follow the same procedure and collect however many data points I need. So that's an explanation for the Circuits 1 lab. Hopefully it helps.